This film begins in 2056, when the condition of the Earth has worsened and passed the critical point. All efforts to find a place to live in outer space failed. Nibra Corporation, which owns a space research station named Rubicon, tries to find a solution to overcome the environmental crisis on Earth. One day, Nibra sends Commander Hannah and chemist Gavin to inspect Rubicon. They depart to Rubicon using a spaceship called Navicon. However, as they approach Rubicon, they encounter a problem. The flight coordinator deviates from the intended route. Hannah quickly takes over the control of the ship and manages to land it safely on Rubicon. When they arrive there, they do not receive a warm welcome from the Rubicon crew, who do not like the presence of Hannah, who is a soldier. After that, Hannah orders the crew to give a report on the Navicon system that is malfunctioning. Then, she heads to her room. On the way, Hannah sees a synthetic algae field that is used to produce oxygen. In her room, Hannah calls her younger sibling, Knopf. Unfortunately, their conversation is interrupted because Knopf has to face an emergency situation. Meanwhile, the Rubicon crew is having a party to welcome Hannah and Gavin, and to ease the tension. Dr. Dimitri invites them to play cards, but his son, Danilo, openly opposes Gavin because he comes from a rich family that can live comfortably in Cuba. Hannah immediately mediates them. Then, she goes to meet the crew who have prepared a report for her. It turns out the flight route for tomorrow has been changed due to a mysterious cloud that appears in the northern hemisphere. The next day, the entire crew left except for Dimitri, Gavin, and Hannah. Following Nibra's orders, Danilo brought some algae cultures. After that, Hannah contacted her superiors to inform them about the possibility that the algae they brought had been manipulated. The Nibra bosses did not care anymore. They told Hannah that there was a change of plan where she had to immediately take care of the Icarus plan that had to be ready in a few days. The plan was very burdensome for Hannah, because every time Hannah tried to look closer at the algae farm, Dimitri was always there and warned her not to touch it. Sometime later, they received a message from the crew who were on their way. The crew said that they could not contact any base on Earth. Then Hannah tried to contact the control center, but she also did not get an answer. Hannah thought that it might be caused by a faulty signal. She decided to go out and check it. When she was fixing it, the crew screamed from the intercom. They said that they were burning and the connection was cut off. When Hannah turned and looked at the Earth, she saw that the Earth was already covered by a large fog. And when she returned to the station, Hannah tried to contact the control center again, but still no answer. Hannah then went to check her personal tablet. She got a message from Knopf explaining about the chaotic state of the Earth, and all units were called to evacuate everyone into the bunker. 2 days passed, and Hannah still could not contact anyone on Earth. On the other hand, Gavin was trying to analyze the atmosphere and found an explanation that the fog was the cause of their difficulty in getting a signal, and it would take months, not days, to overcome it. Dimitri, who was grieving, locked himself in his room. So Hannah tried to bring him food and ask him about the incident. Instead of getting an answer, Dimitri got angry and told her to leave. Sometime later, Hannah decided to assemble a radio to look for anyone who could be contacted. But her work was stopped when she saw Gavin acting strangely. It turned out that the computer had finished analyzing the Earth's atmosphere, and the results shocked Gavin until he finally decided to kill himself. Hannah immediately rushed to help him, followed by Dimitri.
Shit. Hold on.
He just entered. I'm trying to stop depressurization.
Just a second.
Then they gave him first aid. Fortunately, Gavin's life was saved. After that, Gavin was taken to the medical room so that Dimitri could give him proper treatment. Then Hannah called him out. She asked him for an explanation about the algae system that was more advanced than what he reported. Dimitri then admitted that he deliberately hid the information because he thought that Hannah was spying on him. Hannah said that she did not do that because the project belonged to Nibra. Hearing that, Dimitri got angry and explained that the project was his and Danilo's. When Gavin woke up, he rushed to the computer and explained to them that the fog was very toxic, which possibly killed humans on Earth. Gavin then began to have a panic attack, so Dimitri sedated him to calm him down. He then told Hannah that they would be safe there because the algae project had succeeded. Hannah then decided to continue working on the radio because she was sure there must be some survivors who could receive their radio signal. Hannah then went back out to attach the radio antenna to the network. After that, Hannah tried her radio, but still no answer came in. When Gavin woke up again, he explained that the fog might have come from a chain reaction caused by the ice gas layer on Earth. He said that there might be some bunkers with oxygen tanks that could still survive, but the refugees could also die if the oxygen supply ran out. Gavin hated the idea that he had to live in a Rubicon and only with them. But fortunately, Dmitri managed to persuade him by saying that if he died, they would also die. Because the system was designed for 6 humans who produce CO2, and the system will turn it into oxygen, and the minimum gas exchange is 3 people. Gavin finally reluctantly accepted it. Then he had a deep talk with Hannah about how they felt after wasting their lives with training for something that failed. In the end, they spent the night together. A few weeks later, Hannah saw a strange brown color on the algae. Then Dmitri told her that it was all normal and nothing to worry about. But after Hannah left the room, he took a sample to do a test. And the result clearly bothered him. But instead of telling them, he invited them to gamble and drink. Gavin finally found out that Hannah was a Nibra spy. Dmitri then revealed the reason why he sent fake samples to Nibra. A few months earlier, Nibra changed their contract and stated that the new algae system was only for the inhabitants of Cuba. Dmitri did not mind that and was willing to accept money from Nibra. However, Danilo strongly objected and opposed his father's plan. The next morning, Hannah vomited secretly. She also saw the brown color on the algae spreading. Suddenly, they received a message from the Nibra survivor group that was still alive on Earth. They reported that there were only 300 people left in the bunker, and their oxygen would run out soon, so they needed algae to survive. Hannah realized that the survivors were the Nibra CEO and his family. Meanwhile, Dmitri was checking the food and found that the brown contamination had damaged their supply. The inspection was interrupted by the arrival of Hannah and Gavin. They told Dmitri about the survivors. They wanted to save the refugees, but Dmitri refused because flying with Navicon manually was very dangerous. Gavin insisted that they should help the survivors. Dmitri did not care because he blamed them for Danilo's death. Hearing that, Gavin got angry and left the room. Hannah, who was about to chase him, felt dizzy. Dmitri was suspicious and decided to take a blood sample from Hannah for a routine check. Hannah took advantage of the opportunity to persuade Dmitri. Hannah admitted that Dmitri knew something. Dmitri asserted that Nibra only cared about themselves. Then Hannah and Gavin discussed privately. They decided to go together, or without Dmitri. When they were going to take the sample by force, Dmitri stopped them and revealed that the brown color was caused by Hannah. Because the algae got nutrients from the crew's urine, and the algae were sensitive to hormones. That means Hannah was pregnant. Hannah did not believe it, because she was a soldier who was supposed to not be able to get pregnant. Dmitri explained that the chip that prevented pregnancy might have been broken, because Hannah had lost contact with the base for a long time. He also said that the algae would be fine. But Hannah's baby would not survive if they went down to Earth. The explanation did not change Hannah's mind. But, Gavin thought again. Hannah started practicing on the simulator to land Navicon safely through the gap in the fog. Gavin tried to persuade Hannah, but Hannah argued that Rubicon was not a good place to raise a baby. Finally, Gavin was influenced and agreed to go back to Earth with Hannah. Dmitri, who had no other choice, had to go with them. They prepared to leave. But on the day of departure, Navicon malfunctioned. The cooling system died, and the Navicon fuel tank was too hot. They quickly got out. And when Gavin was about to go back to Navicon to fix it, Hannah quickly released Navicon from Rubicon and let Navicon explode far from them. In the end, they were trapped in Rubicon forever. Gavin then sent a message to Earth about the incident, but the CEOs then told Gavin that he had to ask Hannah about Icarus. The CEO continued that it was Hannah's real mission, where Hannah was supposed to bring the entire algae lab because it could be removed and flown separately. However, the vehicle could not be made for passengers and could not be controlled. Even though it was dangerous, Gavin thought they should try it because 300 people's lives were more important than 3. But Hannah was still hesitant. Later, when Gavin was asleep, Hannah found traces on the wall and discovered that the Rubicon cooling system had been sabotaged. Hannah met Dmitri, and in the end, Dmitri admitted that he was the culprit. However, his original intention was only to delay Hannah's departure. Hannah called him a coward and told him to immediately prepare the Icarus system. Dmitri immediately said that Nibra sent him on purpose because they already knew that the disaster was coming and did not tell anyone. Because the CEOs had their own bunkers and did not care if the others also survived. So Dmitri was sure that they would not share the algae with the others. When they called the base and told them that they would soon go down with the laboratory, Hannah asked to speak to one of the soldiers who worked under Nibra. The representative explained that the bunker only had limited space for the CEOs and their families. So, after the soldiers finished their tasks, they were left outside. This meant Knopf was dead. Hannah, who heard that, felt devastated, and then left the room. Gavin then met Hannah and tried to convince her to complete her mission. However, Hannah changed her mind. She refused to save the people who only saw other humans as bait. She said that life in Rubicon was better than living in the slums. After that, Hannah tried to remove the chip from her head before resting. But her nap was disturbed by some strange noises. On the other hand, Gavin had planned to go with the lab and had tied up Dimitri. He planned to go with or without Hannah. Seeing no choice, Hannah joined them. But at the last second, she pushed Gavin away and damaged the Icarus system. She knew how to fix it, but Hannah did not do it. So Gavin, who was angry, left them. As Hannah freed Dimitri, she started getting messages from Earth on her computer. Hannah, who felt dizzy, immediately turned off the computer. Then she went looking for Gavin, but unfortunately Gavin had sacrificed himself. After Hannah said goodbye to Gavin, they released Gavin's body into space. Seeing the reckless thing that Gavin did, Hannah wanted to fix Icarus as soon as possible. She thought that what Gavin did was to pressure them to return to Earth as soon as possible to survive. Dimitri was shocked to hear that, and his heart was broken because the reason for the three of them to stay in Rubicon was a lie to stop Gavin from trying to kill himself. After that, years passed, and Hannah had a child whom she named Knopf. One night the child wandered and found an old radio. He tinkered with it, and suddenly the radio came to life. He got a message from Earth that there was a group of people who survived in the south, and that day they could get out of their bunker. Then they invited Knopf to join them, and the movie ends. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe. Because by subscribing you have supported me to make better videos. See you in the next video.